here we go. All right, chapter 10 of Abby Carnelia's one and only magical power. This is chapter 10 called Ferd, not Fred. Abby quickly discovered a great thing about performing a hit trick at a camper show. You become a minor celebrity. When she got back to Witches 3 that night, No H. Sarah and the other girls mobbed her, hugged her, high-fived her, and pelted her with questions and congratulations. I thought you haven't done much magic before. What did Ferd say? Will you look at my trick and tell me if you think it's any good? How long did you have to practice that? Where did you get those Nerf balls? But Abby also quickly discovered a not-so-great thing about performing a hit trick at a camper show. The conversation turned pretty quickly to how she did it. Hey, so how does the trick work? Yeah, how'd you do it? What's the secret? Can you teach me? Come on, you can tell us. We're your best friends. Unfortunately, she couldn't tell them. Oh, she would have told him the secret to the trick, if there was one to tell. But what do you say when you don't even know how it works yourself? So Abby froze, unable to say anything at all. Well, it's kind of complicated, she managed in a small voice. Fortunately, Claudia, the counselor, caught her panic-stricken look and stepped in to help. Come on, witches, she said matter-of-factly. There'll be time for that later. It's already past lights-out time. Who's first for the outdoor shower? And just like that, the party broke up. Little No H. Sarah was the last to leave Abby's side. You're gonna tell me how you did that, girl, she said with an evil look, and then it was over. In the morning, on the way to breakfast, everybody seemed to recognize Abby. Nobody had the first clue what her name was, but everybody who'd been at the show high-fived her, gave her a thumbs up, or at least smiled as they passed. The whole feeling of Camp Cadabra had changed. She didn't see Ben until impromptu class that morning. As soon as he lopped into the room, he broke into a huge smile and gave her a quick, clumsy hug. You did great, he said. It was your idea, she countered. Yeah, but it's your power, he seemed convinced at last. When Ferd entered the room, once again wearing a huge Hawaiian shirt, the class began. At last, Abby could sink back into the routine of being nobody special. But it didn't last long. Ferd's class that day, as often happened, had more to do with presentation and style than with step-by-steps for performing one particular trick. At the end of class, Ferd wrapped up by saying, "And this, my people, is my final word of advice to you in your blossoming impromptu career. Know when to stop. A magician who performs just one unforgettable effect is a genius. A magician who performs just one too many is a fool. Be good, my people. Now be off." As the campers began rounding up their stuff and putting the props back in the prop baskets, he added, "All but you, Ms. Carnelia. I'd like a word, if you will." Abby looked up, startled. What on earth would Ferd want with her? She looked at Ben, who looked back at her with the same "what the heck" look. Don't worry, he won't bite, he whispered. Just don't let him give you any fashion tips. As the room cleared, Abby stepped up to the front of the room. Did you want to see me? Ferd opened a drawer and pulled out a clipboard. He stepped over to one of the tables and gestured toward a chair for her. Please. He pulled out the chair across from her and lowered his substantial body into it with an audible sigh. He laid his palms flat on, oh dear, after lunch reading. He laid his palms flat on the black stone tabletop. Miss Carnelia, that was quite a performance last night, he began. Thank you, she said. May I have a word with you about your little demonstration? Oh, well, okay, she said uncertainly. Miss Carnelia, you may consider me little more than an eccentric camp counselor with a ponytail and an empathetic mode of dialect. Abby's face told him that she didn't understand. That is to say, I talk funny, or so I've been told by campers, on occasion. I think you talk fine, said Abby truthfully. Despite the peculiarities of my speech, Ferd went on, here is something you may not realize. I may know the art of legerdemain better than anyone you're likely to meet for some time. As a teenager, I took place in close-up at the National Young Magicians Competition 3 years in a row. One pudgy finger stabbed the table for emphasis with each word. The point is, I know a thing or two about the art. He cleared his throat. Now then, to Abby's total surprise, Ferd reached into a small props bag and extracted an egg. I wish to offer you some suggestions, he said, gently placing the egg on the hard black table. Abby couldn't believe her ears. That's why you wanted to see me? Absolutely. This is my purpose in life, Miss Carnelia, to foster the most promising magicians, to help them blossom, to guide them along their paths, and I believe that perhaps I can improve the impact of your effect. Would you do me the honor? He gestured toward the egg. Please proceed. Deep inside, Abby had a queasy feeling, as though the train of her life was about to jump off its tracks. But she didn't have much of a choice. Okay, so I have this egg, and I can make it spin when I pull my earlobes. And she did. Ferd's face didn't change at all. After a moment, he looked up at her. That's quite remarkable. Actually, I can't remember anyone doing this particular effect before. If I may be so bold, what else can you show me? She looked at him. Like another trick, you mean? He nodded, smiled, and looked at her expectantly. Abby stared down at the table. Well, that's pretty much it at this point, she finally said. I don't really have anything else. I mean, that's ready. This is your only effect? His eyes drilling into her. She looked up. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of new at magic. Fine. Then I'll tell you what. Let's work on your egg demonstration, shall we? I believe that we should work on the trigger. If I may speak frankly, the trigger is much too subtle. When you reach into your hair in that way, the audience can't see what you're doing, and the trigger gesture is not even directed toward the prop. Massaging the temples might pass in a mentalism routine, but here it just looks like you have a headache. Abby was stunned and a little annoyed. Her face showed it. Miss Carnelia, Ferd added hurriedly, my intent is not to insult or belittle your efforts here, but I feel that you could benefit from the fruits of my experience. If you prefer not to hear it, then I shall make myself scarce and ask your forgiveness. Now, shall I continue or not? Abby took a deep breath and then nodded. Ferd reached out and fingered the egg on the table. Let's try it again, shall we? With a different trigger now. Show me something more visible, more direct. He smiled and leaned back. Once again, Abby stared hard at the table. After a moment, Ferd leaned over, rolled the egg a few inches closer to Abby, steadied it, and gestured with his hand. Let's see it again. Abby unsteadily reached for her earlobes again, but Ferd interrupted. No, not the ears. I want you to find a different trigger. Abby couldn't look him in the eye. I can't. Strangely enough, that seemed to be just the answer Ferd was hoping to hear. He suddenly seemed to be incredibly fascinated. His round body seemed to swell up as his juices began flowing. Miss Carnelia, are you telling me that the effect won't work if you choose a different trigger? For the longest time, Abby had looked forward to sharing her secret with someone who really knew magic. That, after all, was why she was here. This should have been a moment of triumph, joy, and happiness. But instead, Ferd was creeping her out. She wasn't sure how comfortable she was with spilling her guts to him. Aha! Evidently not, Ferd went on. Then let me ask you another question. In the name of our mutual interest in this great art, would you consider revealing your method? My method? Tell me how you do it, Ferd said, his face intense. He was leaning forward so far that she could feel his breath without even being aware of it. She was pushing herself back in her chair as far as she could go. Come on, Abby, tell me. Tell me. What the earlobes have to do with the egg. Tell me how the egg spins. This guy is losing it, she thought. Ferd persisted. Tell me how your family treats you when you perform the effect. It was as though he could see right through her. Tell me how long you've had this power. Abby's jaw dropped. She gripped the sides of her chair so hard that her knuckles went white. And that is where we have to stop for today because we have to get on the bus. So stay tuned for next time when we finish chapter 10 because it is a long one. There are several more pages to go. So we will finish that maybe tomorrow if you're lucky. Bye-bye.